Like many great women, Bonnie St. John has broken down barriers to achieve great success. She's a Rhodes Scholar who went on to work in the U.S. White House. She's also the first African-American woman to win Olympic or Paralympics medals in ski racing. Bonnie's been called one of the 5 most inspiring women in America. So it makes sense that when she felt like her own teenage daughter was saying no thank you to a call of leadership, Bonnie did what she does best. She inspired. In their book, How Great Women Lead, Bonnie and her daughter, Darcy Dean, team up for an adventure into the lives of women shaping the world. What were some of the most fascinating things you learned about how these great women lead?
Well, that they are different, that they are very different. And Darcy really had that aha coming through, realizing how many stereotypes she had about a leader has to be this way, and to see that these women had really come into their own, and they were so comfortable in their own skin with what they were good at and what they were bad at. And that, it almost shocked me how they weren't trying to be somebody else. They weren't trying to be a leader, you know, they were being themselves. It was great.
Yeah, now you just mentioned one word, stereotypes. And a lot of times women get a bad rap, we'll say, as leaders. People think they can't make good leaders because they're too emotional. How do these women manage their emotions to their advantage?
First of all, I think it's funny when people say women are too emotional.
Me too.
I've seen men yell and curse and throw chairs, and no one says, "Oh, he's too emotional as a leader." Right. So I think it's a judgment. But one of the women, the orchestra conductor, said she learned over time to not be so emotional with people, to not always get wrapped up in their problems. So if somebody's car broke down on the way to the orchestra, you're okay? Good. Get in and play. And women can be so sensitive to other people's feelings that we can get sidetracked. So as a leader, she said, stay focused on the task at hand. And as a woman, you can't always be doing that nurturing thing. You have to balance it.
Balance is the key.
Yeah.
Now, how different really, because we're talking about how great women lead. Is there really a difference between how great women lead and how great men lead?
One of the amazing things that we saw as we were going through this is that a lot of women would have to break the mold to get through. And what we saw is when women broke through and changed the archetype of what that was supposed to look like, not only do they pave the way for more women, but they pave the way for a broader range of men. Maybe men that are more collaborative or more sensitive. And so they open up what it looks like to be a leader in that field. And I think that just gives us more diversity, more strengths to solve the complicated problems we have in front of us.
What role does faith play in how great women lead?
I think faith is so important for women leaders. Faith is important for everyone because it gives us wisdom and humility and strength to persevere. But women leaders do have extra challenges, and some people don't see us as strong or don't want to see us succeed, or just the way we're perceived in different cultures can be very challenging too. And so that extra strength to persevere and to know that our voices are needed and that God made us for a reason and we need to figure out what that is. I think faith, so many of their stories talks about how it keeps them strong. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf talks about praying with her mother when the men with guns and jeeps were at the door. And Condoleezza Rice talks about praying and, being a preacher's kid and how much strength to get from where you can't drink out of the same water fountain to the second most powerful office in the world. That's faith.
Yeah. Now, just to make this a little bit more practical, let's say, for some young woman or someone out there who's watching, and they may be afraid of leadership or they may be considering leadership. What are some practical things that they can do to prepare themselves to be great leaders like these women in your book?
I think it is very important for young women working their way towards leaders, or even women in their 20s, 30s, to meet and talk to other women like we did. The effect it had on my daughter was to help her understand that you don't have to become something you aren't to be a leader. You really have to develop yourself. And when you look at the leaders, you may not think, I want to be like that, but you can rise up and transform what it looks like. And we need to inspire our young girls to do that, to understand that their unique personalities, their voice is what we need, not that they have to become someone else. This is really important for Gen Y because they're so interested in their authenticity. Even their cell phone is dressed in a way that is unique to them. So they need to know that they don't have to give that up. They don't have to give up their selfhood to get to the top.
Now, speaking of that generation, you set out at the beginning of this book to convince Darcy to have another perspective on leadership. What happened? Did it work?
It absolutely worked, because at the beginning she was really not inspired to write a book about leadership. She said, okay, we can travel, that would be fun, we can meet these women. But she really got inspired about what leadership means. Darcy, when she sat down with Condoleezza Rice, had such a transforming conversation, because she told her languages and cultures, the very things you're interested in, are what leaders of the future need to know. So she learned that she could be a leader with her passion, but she also tells other people, whatever your passion is, it could make you a better leader. You just have to figure out how.
Yeah. Now, what is your hope for women around the world, young and old, who read this book?
My hope for women around the world that read this book is that they embrace the leader in themselves and understand that we have so much more power than we realize, and that our voices are important. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, making a difference in your community, whether you're on your local school board or running a business, embrace that power, that leadership, and let God guide you to do what you need to do with it.